In this video, I'm gonna look at a few altcoins like XRP, Ethereum, Solana. We're gonna talk about Bitcoin price, and we're gonna try and predict what might happen in the coming weeks and months when it comes to cryptocurrency. We're gonna have a look at big tech stocks as well, because this is really important. There's a massive correlation between them and cryptocurrency market. Now, if you navigate the next few weeks and months correctly, you'll save a lot of money and potentially make a lot of money. However, if you just follow the same people who bull post every single day, as they've been doing for the last few weeks, you're going to be in big trouble. So when it comes to actually predicting what could happen, I focus primarily on TA, on technical analysis, and a little bit of sentiment analysis. And there's a reason for that. I don't really consider fundamentals too much or the macro picture as such, because I'm not an economist, and even an economist is not a good trader. So for example, right now, we've got this news coming up on March the 4th. Tariffs are going to go into effect. Now, the news about the tariffs coming into effect and what could happen with those, obviously, you don't have to be an expert economist to realize that potentially could lead to inflation, more QT, maybe even higher rates, or slowing down of the reduction of rates, many different things. But basically, it doesn't mean there's going to be loads and loads of liquidity pumped into the system. That's less likely. And because of that, and many other reasons, the price of cryptocurrencies has been going down. But remember, the price of cryptocurrencies doesn't go down based on news. This is a myth. The news kind of fits what's going on with the price. It was very obvious, as I've shown in the last few videos, that Solana was potentially at a significant top here after an amazing run from November 2022. And the thing is, from there, the move downs have been quite impulsive, quite straight and direct. So if you look on a daily chart, you'll see that. Literally straight line down. Now, obviously, with straight lines down, you're going to get some corrections upwards anyways. You're going to get a bounce. But the question in this video that we need to answer is that bounce worth trading? And is that bounce something that could become something more, like a new all-time high or something like that? That's what we're going to answer in this video. But let's talk about news first, because it's really important and it's counterintuitive. Now, again, if you're like most YouTubers and most people who watch those YouTube channels, again, no disrespect, it's just the truth, you're going to get into trouble when it comes to news, because what they do is they get fed this legacy news and they get fed these narratives, and this is what causes the problems. For example, Trump is going to save crypto, he's going to do this and that, as he's been announcing, everybody apes in, and then what happens? Everybody gets liquidated. And some people took massive leverage positions. I've seen people lose literally 7 figures on leverage positions in crypto because they just did the usual thing where they bought the news, not the rumor of the news. The rumor of the news was the rally leading up. It was a sell the news event, obviously. Now, you can use this to your advantage. So the first thing we're going to do before we even get to TA is we're going to put our thinking caps on. We're going to have a real think about this. The price has been going down a lot. For example, when Trump came in, the price was going up a lot. And not only this, a lot of other altcoins were having decent rallies. Not incredible, but decent. And at the end, some event which was scheduled with a clear date in mind. I discussed this in a separate video, but I'm going over it again. You have a clear date that everybody's focused on. And that clear date was a bullish event. But for the market, it was bearish. Again, follow me here. It was bearish. Everything went down when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Not tech stocks, by the way, because cryptocurrencies just always go down, no matter what else is going on in the world. But anyway, now we've got this news and an exact date, March the 4th, which is literally days away now. We're running into the weekend anyway, which is not a great time to jump into cryptocurrencies. You get a lot of volatility, a lot of scam kind of manipulation and stuff like that. But literally in like 3-4 days, you're going to get that. Now, this is considered, what is it considered? What's the narrative? You answer that question, write it down. It's bearish, massively bearish. But what's the market going to do? This is what most people don't get. Probably, especially after a massive rundown anyway, where we're obviously oversold and stuff like that, probably we're going to get capitulation, bounce down, and then we could go on a little bit of a nice run. It could be bullish for the markets. Why? Because this news doesn't matter. It never did matter. It just fits what's going on in the market. These are the types of normal manipulations people have been doing for literally centuries. This is not anything new now that's going on. You get a lot of bearish news at the lows that then doesn't really have any effect. Whereas at the highs, you get loads of bullish news that suddenly don't seem to have any effect anymore. Now remember, regardless of Trump coming in, there were a million reasons that this was going to be a top. Millions of reasons. Even the same YouTubers who are extremely bullish, they should go and just look at their own YouTube videos, look at the analytics on those videos, and literally the analytics graph will look exactly like this with a peak in end of November and December, and it's been dropping off since. Their own analytics would show that. This is one of a millions of indicators showing that highly likely this was a local top, which could be a full top, obviously, for this cycle. Nobody knows for 100% sure, but clearly it was proven to be a top of sorts because, Solana going down from 300 to 120, that is crazy. In a period of, we're talking days, like it's literally just a few weeks, and we're down a significant percentage. If you want to be specific, 56, 57%. Crazy for a larger cap altcoin. Now, we've got that out of the way, so we understand news a little bit. So don't just get sucked in anytime there's obvious bearish or bullish news. And especially if there's an event coming up, be careful. Because that event, if it's very, very bullish, prices drop. If it's extremely bearish, prices will go up. Again, counterintuitive, but really think about why that happens in markets and you'll be ahead of probably 90-95% of traders. Anyway, let's talk about TA for a minute. What are the signals of that? And then we'll get on to Bitcoin. So several signals. Again, remove the drawings. Let's keep it simple. We're on a daily chart here, but for a kind of swing trade, you want to be on a 4-hourly. All you need to see, there's a few things. One is at the swing lows here, as we're going down, ideally, you want a higher low on the RSI and the MACD. Actually not seeing that clearly yet. We're seeing a little bit of divergence between these two lows, but the major lows, which is this one and this one, not really. So this could be a turning point where we could get a bit of a rally, or we're just running into resistance. And like I said, that March 4th, that could be the capitulation to 110. And that might be a great buying opportunity. I personally will be buying then. Been sidelined for a while, but that's when I will be aping in. Now, obviously, if I've missed it and it's happening now and we get a higher low, you get in anyway, that's fine. You'll just get in on the higher low. It's no big deal. So that's the other thing you're looking for. Divergence is one. Other thing you're looking for is higher low. This is all TA. Next thing you're looking for, you've got a very, very nice trend line here. Beautiful trend line going down here. Again, this is very, very simple TA. What are they going to do to trick everybody? Write it down on a paper. What do you think they're going to do to trick everybody with this trend line? Well, have you heard of a trend line breakout? What they're probably going to do is push price up, trap everybody, and then come down again first. So that's called a fake out. It's a fake out of this trend line breakout. So we get that fake out, and then I think we're going to go down, and then that's the place where you might want to buy a bounce. Now, if we break out, but we hold, so we might get support on that same line, fine, that's okay. And then we can push on from there. That's your higher low there, and that's fine. Because remember, as a trader, like we haven't got a crystal ball. We don't know exactly. Like I can predict for the last 12 months, the price is going to go here, then here, then here, then here. No, you're just using recent price action and market structure and some of the other TA signals and sentiment, which is all the new stuff we discussed earlier, to give you a better idea of what the hell is going on. Rather than, again, unfortunately, a lot of influencers, they're just showing random charts, macro charts, that mean literally nothing, have no correlation to a lot of these crypto coins, and they're basing it on that. That's not how you trade cryptocurrency. Or they'll go back, let's say, to a weekly, and we'll go back to a previous cycle. You could take some ideas from the previous cycle, but man, the moves, they're not going to be exactly the same, are they? Obviously, we had a 50% drawdown last time, so it must mean 50% drawdown this time, and then we go to sky high, and Solana goes to 1,000. On no planet is this going to 1,000. And while I'm on that, just an additional point. To get all of these 99% dead altcoins anywhere near their previous all-time highs, so to get like rubbish like Cardano and stuff, like to go, like look at the chart, to push this all the way to previous all-time highs. Now I know that because I can see the structure here from the lows, a very clear three-wave move, and we've broken that high there, so this is all corrective. So really it would need to break down first, reset below the all-time lows, and then it might go to all-time highs, which is extremely unlikely anyway. But anyway, that's the way we would have to do it. Wave structure. By the way, if you want to learn more about that, first link in description, I go through that in insane detail. Everything you need to know about TA is there if you're interested. Now this, all these coins to pump to all-time highs. The only way that could happen, only way, is if Mr. Powell comes out kind of soonish too, because we're really, really low now on most altcoins. And he needs to literally dump rates from whatever they are all the way to zero overnight. And he needs to pump, again, quadrillions, like a lot of notes need to be pumped into the system. And that's the only way that will lift all of these dead altcoins. So that's never going to happen. But, it's there as a possibility. You have to, list all of the possibilities. So that's not going to happen. But can we get some sort of pump and some sort of run? Yes. So let's get back to that in terms of what other things we're looking for. Again, purely TA here. Nothing, some of it's obviously my opinions and stuff, but a lot of this is just TA, which you can learn yourself. So on a 4-hourly chart, ideally on a 4-hourly, but also you might see on a daily as well. So it's more clear, it's more powerful. Everything's more powerful the higher the time frame. For example, daily. On daily, you want to see, it could be happening right now, but we're not really seeing it on the candles. You want to see a very powerful hammer candle, ideally a hammer candle. So something that looks like this red candle here, basically, that's a hammer candle. Something like that. And you should see that either on a 2-day, daily, or a 4-hourly. So, or a bullish engulfing candle. So, for example, ones like these, that first green candle, that's bullish engulfing. These are basic candlestick patterns, which again, you can go ahead and learn. Now, I'm not basing my entire trading, plan and strategy on one candle pattern, obviously, but I'm combining it with many, many other signs. That's considered very bullish if it happens. Like I said, if it breaks down again, which I think it could do, and we get all those divergences coming in, and we get the candle patterns, trendline breakout, which is not a fake out, then we start to get a better idea of what could happen. And look here, if you just look left, you've got very clear horizontal support on Solana. So if you look here at these wick lows here, all around, well, this level here is around the 120 mark, and we're not far off that now. Now, there are some lower marks as well, but anywhere between 110 and 120, there's a good chance we're going to get some support and then a bounce. Okay, now, why am I trading this? Why would you trade this? Especially if you think maybe the top is in already for Solana. Okay, so let's talk about that. You don't need to, again, get a crystal ball and start calling tops and bottoms to make a lot of money in cryptocurrency. You don't need to do that. Think about it. If I buy here between 110 and 120, let's say the price gets there or a higher low and it comes back to 129, 130 and then I jump in there. If this is just a bounce, a corrective bounce, like we've seen before when the market topped, we always get this higher level bounce. So if we just do that and we go to 190, 200, let's say, and then we just fall off into full on bear market, fine, fair enough, no big deal. This is a good increase. On major altcoins, this could be 80%, 70, 80% or more increase. This is not the low that's in, and this was just a wave 4, and we're doing a final kick to the upside. So maybe we tag highs, get to 350, something like that, whatever. Then obviously from 120, we're talking 300%. So as a trader, all of this is in my favor at these lows. Here, catching a falling knife all the way down, everybody's telling you buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the buy. That's really bad. And what's really cool here is if it doesn't go anywhere and it just fails at 140, 150 and comes back, I can break even or even take a small profit and get out before it dumps. So literally from a risk reward, so I'm calculating my risk there, which is nothing, like 15%, 20%, whatever. And my reward, which is anywhere from 100% to 300%, well worth taking the trade. Here though, at the lows, where everything lines up nicely, and we've got the perceived bearish news, everybody else thinks is bearish, so what they're going to all do, they're all going to sell their altcoins on March 4th, if they've got any left, by the way, and that's where smart money comes in. Smart money comes in. Smart money sells highs, buys lows. And like I said, this is just a calculated bet here almost. It doesn't really matter what happens if you really think about it. Let's get on to Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin I discussed, and you can see in a previous video where I said this met the minimum requirement for a top. And the reason for that is we had this little kick up from like 12th Jan, 13th Jan, all the way up to 21st. And that could have been the wave 5. Now, it looks like that is. However, all that means is, again, looking at market structure, this move from kind of September to Jan, that's complete. But what if on a higher time frame, that's not the way forward? So these were the lows, 15, 16K all the way back in November 2022. What if we could still have a larger wave 5 to go. So this was all part of a 3. If that's true, it's possible. Never know for 100%. Possible. Then we would move probably down a bit more and we would look for support at these highs here, 72,000 or so. Almost like what previous all-time highs were around there. But then this will be time consuming. So it'll take a bit longer. We'll spike here, we'll accumulate, everybody will think everything's dead, and this could rumble on for not days, but more likely weeks. And I said that in previous videos. I said already that this correction was going to take a lot longer. It has been doing. Now this one could take even longer because we could get like a B wave up and then go back down. So it's just going to take forever. And then we do one final run. That might be somewhere July, August, who knows, maybe September-ish. And then we do an all-time high. Now, that doesn't mean anything for altcoins, obviously, because remember, Bitcoin has been quite disconnected, but that scenario is there. I still do worry that a top could be in. But let me share another thing with you. From these all-time highs, which were November 2021, to all-time lows, which was November 2022, it was a year. It was only a year. I know it seems like a very long time. But if, this was the end of this cycle, what that means is possibly, remember, we can't go exactly on previous cycles, but again, rough ballpark, what if that's next Jan, so basically here, Jan 2026, that's the all-time bear market low. So literally, what if Bitcoin does nothing, just goes sideways, down, drags down, bows everybody's sick of it, influencers banging their heads against the wall, whatever. And then at 70k, we just bottom, and then we start the actual next bull market cycle. And the year just flies by. Hopefully for most people, it just flies by. That scenario is obviously there too. So just remember, even if it's the end of the cycle, I know people panic and stuff like that. Well, if you look back towards the history of Bitcoin, there can be more. Now, I did say in my last video, not particularly for Bitcoin, but for a lot of the altcoins, all of the altcoins really, I think we're going to go into a much larger bear market. And I think, like I said in my previous video, many of these coins topped at different places. Some in 2020, some in 2021, some in 2023, some in early 2024 March, like FET, some in late 2024, XRP, stuff like that. So they all had different topping cycles. But none of them are going to ever get back to wherever their all-time high was, whether it was here, wherever. Because there's too many coins. There's like millions of coins now, crypto coins. Too many altcoins. None of them do anything. They're all Ponzi's, obviously. Some of them have some utility. I'm not going to say that for everything, but a lot of them don't. It's just vaporware. Like who uses Polkadot? Who uses some of these other random ones on this list here? Who uses LTC and Litecoin? Nobody uses this stuff. There's no real use case for it. Who uses any of the metaverse coins? Like, don't make me state the obvious. And with all of these coins, as you go through them and you zoom out, so go into a weekly chart, you'll see they all just hit highs at different times. So maybe in Link it was April 2021, not even the November 2021. And it's clearly done a 3-wave move after, like even to the naked eye, you can see that if I zoom in. And 3-wave moves, if you've been following my videos, you'll know those are corrective. And these are horribly weak looking charts. So like I said in my last video, when you're buying the bounce, look for newer coins. Look for coins that are not only newer, but are closer to their previous all-time high. So they're doing something like this, but they're messing around up here. So there'll be some coins which are near their all-time highs consolidating. They're more likely to do a run. Or they're completely brand new, just launched, last 2-3 months. So they're more likely to have the momentum, the narrative. They may even have some fundamental stuff that's really cool in terms of their tech that obviously 3 years later people would think was ridiculous. But right now it's cool. A random new coin, again, we don't know, could have topped already because these don't have long life cycles. But if something like Kaito, for example, it ran all the way to nearly $3, round psychological level. If this can go sideways now and start pumping again, it can run a lot more. And there's, multiples there. You're not making 10-20%. However, if it's stopped already and it starts breaking down support levels, breaks under $1 again, it's obviously a dead coin. Stay away from it. You don't need to have anything to do with it then. That's like, for example, let me show you another one, Pengu. This is Pengu getting a bit of a bounce now, but if you zoom right out onto a daily, dead coin. Like all airdrop coins, new crypto coins, they always have, they dump after 12 hours. Again, I've discussed this on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I show you the setup there. Always within the first 12 hours, so they have their initial dump. Everybody's selling the airdrop stuff. Then they have their rally, which can last any amount of time, and it could be any amount of multiples. Sometimes you can get a 2x out of that or a little bit more, and then they're dead forever. That's usually how those coins go. Because I've seen so many coins do the exact same thing, there's no reason to think these ones will do any different, by the way. Now, obviously, every coin's different, every narrative's different. But as a trader, you have to look for patterns. That's how it works. This is a big problem. And these are big tech stocks. Big problem, because these are well correlated with cryptocurrencies. Now, these are real companies making real stuff that have been running literally vertical for a very, very long time. October 2022, Nvidia was 10. It's now 120. These are much higher multiples than Bitcoin, actually, almost double. And this has to end. And when you have a look at these highs it's making here, and this high we saw in June, what are you seeing here? You're seeing price rounding over. This usually is a topping sign. And what you're seeing about momentum, look at the green hills there. Down, 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 down. Very bearish sign. And it's a sign that imminent, we're going to get a larger correction. Now, that's what we might go through right now. So you have to be very, very careful. And that's why I said a couple of videos ago, it's a good chance we've met minimum requirements for a top across the board. Because remember, in November 2021, tech stocks and crypto, everything happened together. But NASDAQ and S&P, they are topped a little bit later, a few weeks later, if you remember. So what if that's happening now, where Bitcoin's topped and these are topping a little bit later? So this diagonal pattern here could be ending diagonal. And we could be beginning a breakdown. It's very corrective though on the way down, but it might be a leading diagonal, expanding or contracting, leading diagonal. That's why it's overlapping. Usually overlapping means corrective. And you'd automatically think we have one more move, but maybe it's just starting off as a diagonal, actually. And if you have a look at the other ones, Amazon, sorry to talk about tech stocks, but it is important. This is very impulsive. This is just straight line down. That's what you want off and high to suggest that we could be done. Really impulsive move down, a lot of weakness. Yes, we've seen that. Look at Tesla. Very, very impulsive move. Well off the highs already. Breaking important support levels here. So again, good chance. Tesla took the high out and could have topped there. Meta, same. Very impulsive move. And now if we see it struggle to get back again and then start breaking these lows and then these support levels all the way down, then yeah, there is a good chance that Meta could be done as well. So remember, it's until important levels are broken, you can't say that. I mean, with crypto it's easier because when things are 30-40% down, we've broken down. But with stuff like this, it's still technically in an uptrend. So with stuff like Meta, technically still in an uptrend. But the pattern we're seeing compared to November 2021 is very, very similar. In terms of indices, this is the NASDAQ. So you can see momentum there, waning ever since kind of July and rounded top. You usually see rounded tops in the stock market like that. See that in the S&P a lot. So like I said, there's a chance we could be imminently, at highs. And maybe the tariff news, maybe on March 4th, it's a bit of a kind of not really sell the news, but buy the news event. So sell the rumor, buy the news, and you might get a bit of a bounce across the board, including crypto. But then when you get that bounce, if you're already in coins, again, this is not financial advice, but this is just how I would play. If I was already in coins, might be a good time to sell. And if you're not, might be a good time to do a swing trade. But then after that, the follow through is if things get very, very prickly in terms of, the wider markets, what's going on, inflation, stuff like that. Again, we're not macro experts or anything, but if it's obvious from the charts and all these big companies are showing a lot of weakness, there's going to be a domino effect, obviously. And then what happens? Everything falls down. And what gets hit the worst? Always crypto. If you think you're down, if you think Solana's down 50% and it's at 130, it can still go down 50% to 75 too. You can still lose 50% just because it's lower. It doesn't work that way with cryptocurrencies. You have to be very, very careful. Again, don't take my word for it. Look at any previous chart. You'll see in any bear market, things go down 90 odd percent across the board. That's not just lower cap vaporware coins, it's everything. So look, I hope you find it useful. I hope you learned something, and I hope it's something that maybe is different to kind of content that you're used to. But I think especially with crypto, you have to be a bit more skeptical about what you see, read and hear. And if you could do that, there'll still be times when you'll struggle with your portfolio, but you'll be on the right side of the trade more often than not. And that's what you need, to be honest with you. As long as you have a little bit of that edge, then you can do well. But I have to say, definitely this cycle, it's getting much more like a trader's market than a long-term investor. That's just the truth. There's been so much rotation this time because I think there's just such limited liquidity. And I think the battle scars from previous cycles when everything's gone down 90% and stuff, it's very much etched in people's minds. So nobody wants to hold bags anymore, especially on the way down. Another update very soon. Thanks for listening.